I cut my BYD running and service costs by around 70%, and I did it without voiding a single part of my warranty. That's the payoff, and I'm giving it to you up front because most BYD owners are quietly overpaying every year without realizing there's a legal, warranty-safe way to pay far less. Here's the thing. A BYD is already cheap to maintain compared to a petrol car, but the dealer and the upsells still find ways to inflate your bill. And the biggest cost of all, fuel, is one almost nobody counts properly. I've spent years helping people run their BYDs the smart way, and in this video, I'll walk you through the exact levers I pulled, in order, from the servicing choice most people get wrong, to the one running cost that dwarfs everything else. So stick around for number 4, because that's where the real 70% actually comes from. And one honest warning in the middle about a saving that can backfire if you get it wrong. If this helps you keep money in your pocket, do me a favor and hit subscribe. Let's get into it. Number 1. I stopped assuming the dealer was my only option. The first thing I changed was the belief that I had to service at a BYD dealer to stay covered, because that single assumption is what keeps prices high. Here's the fact that changes everything. Under Australian consumer law, the ACCC is clear that any qualified mechanic can legally service your car without voiding your new car manufacturer's warranty, as long as they follow the schedule and stamp your logbook properly. That means you are not locked in. In BYD's case, you actually have 3 warranty-safe paths, not 1. You can use a BYD Experience Center. You can use one of the authorized My Car centers that are trained and equipped specifically for BYD servicing, or you can use any other qualified workshop that follows the logbook. The moment I understood that, the pricing pressure disappeared because I could get quotes and choose. For a lot of regional owners, the authorized My Car network is actually more convenient than the nearest dealer, and it keeps the manufacturer warranty fully intact. The verdict here is simple. Your warranty does not depend on the dealer. It depends on the logbook being followed and stamped by a qualified provider. Once you know that, every other saving in this video becomes possible. Number 2. I checked whether I qualified for the light service plan. The second lever is one a huge number of owners never even ask about, and it's a genuine capped price saving hiding in plain sight. BYD has offered a light service plan through the authorized network aimed at lower kilometer drivers. If your car qualifies, you're looking at a fixed, reduced annual service price instead of the standard one, specifically for people who don't rack up big distances. The eligibility is the catch, so you have to check it honestly. Broadly, it's been aimed at owners doing under around 12,000 kilometers a year, staying within 12 months between services, and within a set number of years from delivery on eligible models. If you're a city commuter, a second-car household, or a semi-retired driver who mostly does short trips, there's a real chance you're leaving money on the table by defaulting to the standard plan. This is exactly the kind of thing a service center won't always volunteer, so the move is to call before you book and ask directly whether your car and your kilometers qualify for the lighter capped price. The verdict is that low-kilometer drivers should never just accept the standard service price without first asking if the cheaper capped plan applies to them. One phone call can be worth a couple of $100s a year. If this is useful so far, a quick like genuinely helps the channel and tells me to keep making these ownership guides. Number 3. I stopped paying for upsells that are already included or easy to DIY. The third lever is where the padding lives. The little line items that quietly inflate an otherwise cheap EV service. Here's the reality of a BYD. Because it's electric, there's no engine oil, no spark plugs, no timing belt, and no exhaust. So the service is genuinely simple, and a minor service for most BYD EV models is inexpensive by design. The problem is the extras. Tire rotation, for example, is included in most BYD logbook services, so if you're ever charged for it separately, that's a red flag to question. Cabin filters are another one. A pollen or cabin air filter is a cheap part that you can buy model-specific and swap yourself in a few minutes, rather than paying workshop labor for it. I do the simple, non-safety items myself, and let the workshop handle the logbook inspection and anything that needs their sign-off. But here's my honest mid-video warning, and please hear it. Do not DIY anything safety-critical or warranty-sensitive to save a few dollars. Brake fluid absorbs moisture over time and still needs proper periodic replacement even on a regen-heavy EV. And your logbook still has to be stamped by a qualified provider. Skip the courtesy checks or botch a safety item, and a small saving becomes an expensive warranty headache. The verdict is to strip out the padding and DIY the trivial stuff, but never cut corners on brakes, safety, or your logbook stamp. Number 4. I counted the cost that actually dwarfs servicing, fuel. This is number 4, and this is where the real 70% comes from, because most people fixate on the service invoice and completely ignore the biggest running cost of all. Servicing a BYD in Australia is already modest, with pure EV models averaging only a few $100s a year. The enormous saving is at the plug, not the workshop. When I switched from a petrol car, the fuel bill didn't shrink, it collapsed. And that's the number that moves your total running costs by the big percentage. Charging at home, especially overnight on a cheaper electricity rate or off your own solar, costs a fraction per kilometer of what you were pouring into a petrol tank every week. That's the lever that turns a modest saving into a dramatic one. But you have to be smart about it, because not all charging is cheap charging. Fast public DC chargers are convenient, but they're the most expensive way to fill up, sometimes dramatically so. The trick is to make home or workplace charging your default and treat public fast charging as the exception for road trips, not your everyday habit. Do that, and the fuel line on your annual budget shrinks to something that would have bought you maybe a month or two of petrol before. The verdict is clear. The service bill is the small number everyone stares at. The charging strategy is the big number almost nobody optimizes, and it's where the 70% really lives. Number 5. I protected the warranty that keeps big costs at zero. The final lever isn't about spending less this year. It's about making sure a huge bill never lands on you at all, because the cheapest repair is the one your warranty covers completely. BYD backs its cars in Australia with a strong package, including a 6-year vehicle warranty and an 8-year high-voltage battery warranty, and that protection is worth real money over the life of the car, but it only stays intact if you play it right. That means following the service schedule on time, keeping every logbook entry stamped by a qualified provider, and not skipping the early courtesy checks that catch build issues before they become claims. I treat my service history like a paper trail that protects a very expensive asset, because a fully documented, on-schedule logbook is what stands between you and a fight if something big ever needs covering. It also protects resale value, since the next buyer will pay more for a car with a clean, complete history. So, the saving here is invisible until the day it isn't. The verdict is that the smartest cost-cutting move of all is protecting the warranty that keeps the biggest potential bills at zero. Cut the fat, but never cut the paperwork. So that's how the 70% actually stacks up. It isn't one magic trick, it's a stack. You stop assuming the dealer is your only warranty-safe option. You check whether your kilometers qualify you for a cheaper capped service plan. You strip out the padding and DIY only the trivial stuff. You make cheap home charging your default instead of expensive public fast charging. And you guard your warranty and logbook so the big bills stay covered. The service invoice was never the real story. The running cost picture, fuel above all, is where the money genuinely moves. A BYD is already one of the cheaper cars to run in the country, and with these levers, you push it further without ever risking your cover. If this helped you rethink what your BYD actually costs to run, subscribe for more straight-talking ownership guides, and I'll see you in the next one.